So whether we're talking about long form or short form video, Insider has 5 main tenets to our approach to storytelling. So our first and most important thing that we care about is called the hook shot. It's basically like the first 3 to 5 seconds of a video. It's like putting the most compelling visual footage there to draw people in. So you can see a good example of that here on this video I made recently called Making Celebrity Inspired Cookies, which they made a White Lotus themed cookie, and you can see they use a projector system to draw them, and that visual really stuck with people. It got over 16 million views, and that's the main tenet to Insider's success from our video team and our Facebook Reels team now. Second thing is that we make sure that all of our videos have valuable takeaways that people can bring up in conversation, like, oh my gosh, I saw this video and I learned X, Y, and Z. We make sure that every video is filmed in a high quality way. We pursue quality subjects, and we also make sure that the way we're telling stories and the people who are in them are being really authentic on camera. And the last thing is that we want to make sure that there's a reason why we're telling every story. So for short form video, an example of how you could do that would be to have a headline telling you why this topic matters. You can see here, for example, we did a video about turning bananas trees and recycling them into menstrual pads in India, which is not only like a sustainable, amazing thing, but helpful for a large portion of the population there. And that really resonated with people and got almost 60 million views. So obviously, starting your own content creation is difficult. No one has success right away. So what were your videos like when you started, and what did you change or start doing that helped you gain a bigger audience? So I'd like to ask this to all of you, but why don't we start with Cass?
So I found that what really made my videos take off, and my first viral video was actually my second video of like just being authentically me. I was showing my work day. I had tried like the trends and different filters like that we all try, but my second video of just showing my life really took off, and I was like, is this like a glitch in the system? Like what? But people were really interested in it, so I had the choice, do I want just one viral video or should I like keep this going? And I chose to keep it going. So.
Amazing. Serena?
I think that my first started, I think after we got the dancing out of our system, because I don't know, that's how I started for like a hot sec. Wasn't very good at it. I really started making videos that I needed for myself. And I think that that's my most viral videos are always videos that like I'm really like confidence coaching the audience, but really I'm just coaching myself. And so I think that's really what the best content comes from, when it's authentically you, and it's almost something that you would want to enjoy yourself. So yeah.
Amazing. Shalyn?
What were my videos like when I started out? The issue with me was that I have way too many interests and hobbies, so I kind of didn't really know what to do. So I just started out by talking. I would make these like random skits. I was working like a normal job at like a 9 to 5, so I would just, I don't know, if something happened at work, I'd come talk about it or make it a skit. And then I think after a while, I've always been a makeup artist. I've been a makeup artist since I was like in high school. I just started integrating that a little bit, doing my makeup online, and people would be like, oh, that's actually good. How'd you do that? And I'd be like, you want to know how I did that? And then tutorials were born, and then, you know, vlogging was born and cooking videos. And then I kind of just started doing everything.
Awesome. Nava, what about you?
For me, I would say one of the videos that really popped off for me was one of my fashion videos where I showed like what I would wear as a Disney princess. And that honestly just came about because I would watch these movies and I would look at the characters and think like, I would totally dress them differently. And I think at the time I was like, let me make a video about it. And I didn't know that there was a market or people were interested in something like that and seeing how other things would be styled. And yeah, it really took off. And I was like, I guess people like seeing different outfits. So let's make more of these.
That's awesome. So next I'm going to share some videos from each of you and ask you guys some more personal questions about your own brand. So I'm going to start with a video from Cass, who, like she said, makes videos taking you around in her golf cart, showing you her job selling drinks to golfers. And besides being super cute and fun, I think one of the big things that make Cass's videos so appealing is the authenticity we get from them. You know, hearing the things golfers say to her when they don't know that we're listening, and seeing her honest reactions to them, and even her sharing like how much money she's making in tips throughout, like makes you feel like you're one of her close friends getting personal access to her life. You've built an amazing brand out of being authentic with your audience. So for people who are less comfortable or have less experience filming themselves or talking to the camera, what tips would you give them on how to become more comfortable doing that?
I would say the most effective way. So when I first started, like, I was not comfortable in front of the camera. I did not like the sound of my voice. Like, it just cringed me out. So if you want to do this and you want to be a content creator, like, you got to get over that. Like, have the phone up, talk to the camera, act like you're just ranting to one of your friends. Like, keep going, keep trying, keep talking to the camera until you get over that. And then it will just come naturally and you'll be more comfortable with it. Stay true to yourself.
Awesome. Great advice for anyone, no matter what, honestly. But what strategies do you use to engage with your audience, and how do you think you've done that to build a loyal following?
I really, like I said, like, just being yourself, and everyone is relatable in their own way. There's something relatable about anyone. So just like replying to comments, going to the commenters page, like interacting with their stuff, seeing what people are commenting, and like showing that, making a video about that, just kind of giving them what they are looking for.
Amazing. So I'm going to show now a video from Nava. One thing I think that Nava has done really well is find a niche that people really connect with, which is giving her interpretation on style and fashion. She's really good at taking trends or things from popular culture and putting her own personal brand on it. And you make a lot of types of videos, but you're mostly focused on fashion videos. You've done a fantastic job of finding your niche. How did you decide what you wanted your brand to be about, and how important is having a specific focus to your success?
I honestly, for like a big answer for those questions would just be what I genuinely truly feel. So I knew I had a lot of clothes. I knew I really liked fashion, and I knew that I had kind of like the style that I was really into was kind of specific. And so I kind of really leaned into that and created my brand around something that encompassed me, because it's honestly like the easiest way to do it. Like something that is genuinely you, you know how to do that very well. And so I think that's very important as a brand, is being genuine to yourself and your interest, because out there will be other people that find that same interest. And so I think if you really want to hone in on something, hone in on yourself and what you truly like.
It's a great answer. You kind of already answered this, but do you have tips for people who are like either have a lot of interests or like are having trouble figuring out like what to make videos about, on how to find their own niche?
Yeah, I mean, I would say to like any like random idea that you have, whether or not, I tell a lot of people this all the time, whether or not you feel like anyone would watch that specific video or will have any interest in that video, I say put it out there anyways, because it will find the right people and it will find like a community that does appreciate it, and then from there it'll grow and grow and grow. So I mean, I had no idea that people were interested in what Disney princesses would look like in my style, but it turns out that people did, and I was able to grow a following from that. So you just never know who's going to see your video, even if it's like the quirkiest idea.
But part of being an influencer is discovering and creating your brand, and you've obviously done an incredible job of that. So what are your tips on turning your life and personality into something that real brands want to partner with?
I think it's about seeing yourself, your online persona, as a character. That's what helped me. So like that girl in the video is like my alter ego. Like I'm Serena right now, but I'd say that's SFK, and which stands for Serena effing Kerrigan. I don't know if I can curse from here, so I said effing. But I think
it's fine.
okay, it's Serena fucking Kerrigan. Like that's her, right? And I think like what was helpful for me was creating this character. It's like, what does she do? What does she drink? What's her opinions on confidence? Like, what does she wear? Like, I really like built her as a character. Like, she's larger than life, obviously. Like, she's gonna smack confidence into you, you know? Like, she's like the Regina George for making you feel good about yourself. Was a character I created, and then everything feeds into that character, which is how I created the tagline, "Do it for the plot," because that's something SFK would do. She would just like do something and be like, why? It was for the plot. So it's really like everything feeds in, and every brand collab, every video I make like has to go back to like this girl and writing for her. And I think the interesting thing is like that's not, you know, now I've evolved a lot. And like that's even just seeing that video, I'm like, oh my God, like that's really SFK. Like I think that I've grown more into myself and my content has reflected that. Like I'm a little less of the character. But I think if you're beginning, it's very helpful. Instead of being like, what's my personal brand? You can be like, okay, I'm just going to create a character and like, what does she like to wear? If I was writing a script for her, like, what are all these things? What products does she use, etc. Yeah.
Why do you think brands resonated with like everything you've done so much?
Well, some brands.
Some brands.
Some like don't like the F word, and that's okay. I think that people resonate with it because I think at the core of what I do is I want to empower people to remind them that they are the main character of their lives. And so, like, I think at its core, there's a lot of, like, social impact there. And there's a lot of storytelling. I think bottom line, like, it's the same way I think of my personal brand as a character. Like, everything I do tells a story. Every video I make needs to tell a story. And I think no matter what kind of creator you are, if you can have a great hook, like you said earlier, a great hook and then a beginning, middle, and end, like, you'll have a great video. And so, and you know how to tell a story because that's what human beings know how to do. So I think it's that.
Do you have tips on staying authentic while you're promoting brands in a video?
Yes. Staying authentic, I think, really just kind of a little bit repetitive of what I said before, just really being honest with the brands. And a lot of brands are willing to listen to you more than you would assume. And you also just never know until you ask. Sometimes you really can come back to a brand and be like, hey, you know, I think I'd rather just say this, or would it be okay if I did this? And honestly, a lot of the time they're like, yeah, honestly, that's totally fine. And I'm a firm believer in the worst they could say is no, and you never know until you ask. So I always ask. And if the answer is no and it doesn't align, I'm very willing to step away.
Got it. What's a mistake that you made early on in your career that you would advise people not to do when starting off as a creator? So let's start off with Serena.
Of course. I think, you know, when you're seeing financial success, the immediate reaction might be to expand. Like, oh my God, I need a team and I need to pay for this and that. And I would say, don't. Like, really try to be smart about, you know, your spending and try to just, you know, as you're growing, really think about just being really strategic. I think is important.
Can you expand on that a little more? On like why you think that's important? Because
you don't want to, you know, you want to be making money and you want to have savings and you don't want to spend all of it. And I just think like, I don't know, I see this more as an entrepreneurial thing, but I think in a way creators are entrepreneurs. So I think that content is a business, but I think like, you know, when you're making money and you're gaining following, I think it's just easy to think like, oh, I have to expand. I have to like jump on this. I have to do everything. And it's just about really taking your time. And this doesn't necessarily need to even be about spending, but also about what brand deals that you're picking, you know, and being really authentic, because audiences are so smart now. Like they just know. They know when something isn't authentic to you and they're going to call you out on it and they're not going to want to follow you to begin with. So I would just say like, as you're growing, just like take your time. There's no rush.
That's great advice. Cass, what about you?
I would say a problem that I ran into was putting too much pressure on myself and on like the video I was creating. I know the saying is quality over quantity, but when you're first starting out and making videos, you should think quantity over quality because you want to get like your videos out there. If you're putting too much pressure on you know, like you're doing like a retake of this certain clip that you want to insert, and it's just gonna be bad for your mental health. You're trying too hard, and especially since, like, for me in particular, I was doing my day job while I'm trying to make a video, and those just would collide, and it would kind of drive me crazy throughout the day. But just get your video out there. Don't try to be perfect. Making it perfect is what's going to ruin it. So
Yeah, I think that's really good advice. I've run into that a lot of times of like, you can spend so much time trying to make a video better, and it's like, sometimes it's the thing that you spend the least time on that like blows up the most, I feel like. And it's the stuff that I'm like, let me make sure everything detail is right, and it's like, okay, no one watched this, so I completely agree.
Yeah. Go with the first take.
Sorry, say it again.
Well, go with the first take, and if you tripped, post that take.
Yeah.
100%. Shaun, what about you?
A mistake I made early on, honestly, kind of similar to what was said. Honestly, just don't take yourself too seriously. You want people to like you for the person that you are, not the person that you're gonna create for them to like, because when you're no longer interested in playing that persona, people are still gonna expect it, because that's kind of what you fed them. I learned my lesson with that early on. I wanted to change it up and kind of be a little more myself, and people kind of were just accustomed to, you know, the persona I had, and they kind of had a difficult time changing with me. I'd say don't compare yourself. I think I did a lot of comparing myself to other people and my peers that were kind of, you know, similar numbers. It's like, why aren't I doing that good? Or why didn't I go to that? And you didn't because you weren't supposed to, you know, like things happen at your pace, things happened at their pace. You know, I'm sure they were comparing themselves to people too. I'd say don't niche down too hard. Don't worry too much about that. Like some other people said, do what you like just enjoy it, and your niche will find you if you even need a niche, like a specific niche. Don't let perception make you think too much about, you know, what people think about you or what you think you look like on camera. If it makes anyone feel better, I don't even see myself when I film. I film with the back camera, so I have no idea what I look like until I'm looking at it later in editing, and it's too late to go back. And it's like, you know what? Whatever. That's what I recorded. That's what they're going to get.
That's really funny. Nava, what about you?
For me, kind of going off of Shallon's answer, specifically for me, I would say don't worry too much about numbers specifically. Like, I would be that type of content creator that would look at constantly like my following and like how many likes I'm getting, how many comments I'm getting. And I think it really messed with my mental health, and it gave me this like idea that I wasn't good enough or this and that. And so there's a period of time where I just like, every time I would go onto my Instagram homepage or like TikTok homepage, I would put a finger over the following just so I wouldn't, you know, focus on that. And then just like, it just would be out of sight, out of mind. And then one day, like, I'll look at it and be like, oh, okay, well, I do have like a following that's growing, which is nice. So it's better to just let it happen and let it ride, because people will follow you, unfollow you based on, like, you have no control over those things. And so it's not something that you should, you know, like, I guess worry too much about. But yeah.
It's good advice also. I also was. It's hard to not look at numbers. Like, it's very addicting to like watch them update in real time, etc. But it's also really great advice. Like, what advice would you give to aspiring influencers who are just starting out? Like, if you had like one piece of advice to give them, what would it be? Cass?
I would say be yourself. That's like what I live by. That's what I tell people. If you are a dirty girl and you want to do like the clean girl aesthetic, you want to be like, you know, ASMR, like get ready with me, like clean girl, but you're not a clean girl. Like, there's nothing wrong with being a dirty girl. Like, people want to see that too. And I mean, you're only going to be able to fake it for so long. Eventually we're going to see your crumpled up Cheeto bag in your bed. Like, so this, people will like the dirty girl that you are. If you are a girly girl and you're like, well, let's see, goth girls are blowing up on this platform, I'm going to do that, I'm going to redo my wardrobe, my makeup, then you're just going to risk running into an identity crisis, and there's plenty of people that want to see the girly girl stuff. Do that. Be yourself. Just if you're yourself, you don't have to remember like lies or like what you said you were, and that makes it much easier. And all you'll have to do is set up your phone and press record and be yourself.
It's great advice. What about you, Shalyn?
Advice I'd give, I would say the most generic advice honestly really does apply when it comes to content creation, and just be yourself. Perfection is completely unattainable. Don't even try to strive for it because it's not real. I think I did a lot of that trying to make the cookie cutter content at one point, and it just didn't feel natural, and I regretted it so much. I felt like I wasted a lot of time being a creator, trying to be the perfect creator when that doesn't exist. There is no perfect creator. I think what people like about creators is we're all different. You get something different from everybody. That's why a lot of us follow multiple creators. Like I myself have like a lot of creators I like, because I like watching this girl get ready, but I like watching this girl's makeup and this girl's, vlogs of her day. I think that, I think some more advice I'd give is really just understand that people's perception of you also just can't change that. You can't please everyone. I think I had a really hard time trying to please everyone when I first started creating. If people didn't like this, I would stop doing it. But then people would be like, but I liked it. And I was like, okay, well, this is confusing because you like it, you don't. But that's the reality. Like, this person's going to like it and this person's not going to like it. You should do what you like. And then whoever likes that will follow. They're always going to follow. People will find you. Your people will always find you. That's my rule of thumb, is I don't need to change harmless content just because someone, chooses that they don't like it.
Right. I'm tired of saying great advice, but this is great advice, guys. This is really good. Nava, what about you?
I would say, honestly, don't feel like you need to spend a lot of money on equipment just to start content creating. Like back in the day when I started like my YouTube years, I was like, I need this camera. I need like to get an actual vlog camera, XYZ. And honestly, you'd be surprised at how great like your phone can shoot content. Even like nowadays, like right now I'm filming vlogs on like the little camcorders. Also because it's trending right now to do like vlogs on your little camcorder. But that thing was like, I don't know, $20, and it costs nothing. Quality is ass, but like it's like a vibe, And so don't feel like you have to spend so much money on equipment, because you really don't. And people are gonna like just like general basic quality anyways. It's like you are the quality, if that makes sense.